All right, you sick fucks, welcome back. We're diving into some seriously fucked up shit today. Bird flu, but not the kind your grandma whines about. We're talking H5N1, the badass strain that's been ripping through birds and making the jump to mammals. And yeah, you guessed it, that includes us.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. The research we've got here paints a pretty grim picture. This virus has been evolving for decades, and the global spread is something we all need to be paying attention to, whether we like it or not.
So let's cut the crap. Where the hell did this H5N1 nightmare even begin?
Believe it or not, it all started way back in 1959 in Scotland. They had a pretty nasty outbreak of H5N1 in chickens.
Chickens.
Yeah. Then in 1991, England got hit with a similar outbreak, this time in turkeys.
Turkeys, right?
What's wild is that those early strains actually share some similar genes with the current strain that's causing all this chaos.
This fucker's been lurking in the shadows for a while, huh? Getting ready to fuck shit up.
Exactly. But it wasn't until 1997 in Hong Kong that we saw the first humans get infected. 18 people got it, and 6 of them died. They ended up having to kill a shitload of poultry to try and contain the damn thing.
6 out of 18, that's a pretty brutal fatality rate.
No kidding. And to make matters worse, a new genotype popped up between 1999 and 2002.
Oh, great.
They call it the Z genotype. By 2004, this Z genotype became the dominant strain and started spreading globally among wild birds and those poor, unsuspecting chickens.
So how the hell is this thing spreading so far and wide? Do these birds have their own frequent flyer miles or something?
Well, migration plays a role, of course, but the real assholes here are ducks.
Ducks.
Yeah, they're like silent assassins, carrying and spreading the virus without showing any symptoms.
What the fuck?
And guess who loves hanging out with chickens and other birds? Spreading the love. Yep, those goddamn ducks.
Ducks, huh? Those feathered fuckers are like little flying disease factories.
Pretty much. And to make matters even worse, a lot of countries, especially certain ones we won't name, aren't exactly eager to report outbreaks. Makes it damn near impossible to know how widespread this thing really is.
So we've got ducks spreading this shit everywhere, countries sweeping it under the rug. This is starting to sound like a total clusterfuck.
It definitely has the potential to be. And here's the kicker. It's not just birds anymore. This shit has jumped to other mammals.
Wait, hold up. Other mammals? Like what? Squirrels and hamsters?
Nah, we're talking some serious predators here. Tigers, leopards, even your house cat could be carrying this thing.
No way.
Back in 2004, a zoo in Thailand had a massive outbreak. Over 140 tigers died from H5N1. It was a wake-up call that this virus isn't fucking around. It can adapt and infect mammals, including us.
Over 140 tigers. Holy shit. So it can jump from birds to big cats?
Mm.
And we know house cats can get it too. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, and that's the scary part about cats. They could become a reservoir for the virus, allowing it to mutate and potentially become even easier to spread to humans. Think about that next time you're petting your neighbor's cat.
Okay, now I'm officially freaked out. Ducks, tigers, now cats. This bird flu is starting to feel like a goddamn horror movie. But how many people have actually gotten infected so far?
The World Health Organization says there have been 948 confirmed cases in humans between 2003 and November 2024.
Okay.
464 of those poor bastards died.
Jesus.
But here's the thing. That number is probably way too low, because a lot of people who get it probably don't even know they have it.
So there could be way more people walking around with this shit and they don't even know it. Jesus Christ.
It's definitely possible. And what's even more alarming is that since 2020, this virus has been spreading like wildfire. It's on every continent except Australia.
Real.
Even Antarctica, the most remote place on Earth, has reported cases. This thing is a global pandemic waiting to happen.
Antarctica. Shit, this virus is everywhere. No one is safe.
And here's another fun fact. They recently found H5N1 in dairy cows in the US, and it's spreading between cows, possibly even during milking. One dairy worker in Texas even got infected, probably from those infected cows.
Hold the fucking phone. Cows. Milk. So now I gotta worry about my goddamn latte giving me bird flu.
It's not time to swear off your morning coffee just yet, but it does show how this virus is evolving and finding new ways to spread. It's a constantly changing situation. And there's another crazy part to this story, something we call the mutation controversy.
Mutation controversy? What the hell is that all about?
Well, back in 2011, some scientists decided to play God and manipulate the H5N1 virus in a lab. They actually managed to make it transmissible between ferrets through the air.
Wait, ferrets? What the fuck do ferrets have to do with this?
They use ferrets in influenza research because their respiratory systems are similar to ours. They're like furry little test subjects.
Okay, so they made this bird flu airborne between ferrets. Why? What was the point of making it even more contagious? Were they just bored?
They said it was about pandemic preparedness, that they needed to understand how the virus could mutate to spread through the air so we could be ready for it. They thought that by figuring out the specific mutations that allowed for airborne transmission, we could keep an eye on the virus in the wild and develop better vaccines and treatments.
I get the whole being prepared thing, but messing around with a deadly virus like that just seems like asking for trouble. What if that shit escaped the lab? Or what if some terrorist asshole got a hold of that research and weaponized it?
Those are some valid points, and it caused a huge shitstorm in the scientific community and beyond. Some people argued that the risks of this research far outweighed any potential benefits. They were worried that publishing the details of the mutations would be like giving a blueprint to bioterrorists.
So what happened? Did they publish it or lock it up in some secret vault?
It was a tough call. In the end, the U.S. National Science Advisory Board for Biosecurity stepped in and said, "Whoa, hold your horses." They recommended that the juicy details, the actual mutations, be kept under wraps. The redacted versions of the research got published, so there's still some useful info out there. But the really dangerous stuff is locked away.
So it's like they published the recipe for a bomb, but left out the part about the detonator. Smart move, I guess.
Exactly. They knew this shit was too dangerous to just throw out there for anyone to see.
All right, so we've got this bird flu spreading all over the place, jumping from birds to cats, tigers, even cows.
Yeah.
It's enough to make you want to live in a goddamn bunker. But let's cut to the chase. How worried should we actually be about this turning into a full-blown pandemic? Should I be stocking up on ramen noodles and shotgun shells?
Look, pandemics are tricky bastards. It's not just about how deadly a virus is. It's about how easily it spreads between people.
But we already know this H5N1 shit can spread to humans, right?
Yeah.
We talked about all those confirmed cases.
True. But the real danger zone is sustained human-to-human transmission. Right now, most people who get it have been in direct contact with infected birds. For a pandemic to really explode, this thing needs to figure out how to jump from person to person without needing a bird as a middleman.
So like a regular flu, where you can catch it from some asshole sneezing on the subway.
Bingo. That's the kind of spread that keeps epidemiologists up at night. And that's where things get interesting with H5N1. It's a real badass when it comes to infecting birds. But it hasn't quite cracked the code on how to spread efficiently between humans.
Yet. So you're saying it could mutate and learn how to spread between us like a bad rumor?
It's not out of the realm of possibility. And remember those pigs we talked about earlier? Those porkers play a crucial role in all of this.
Pigs? Hold up, I thought we were talking about bird flu, not swine flu.
We're talking about both, actually. Pigs can get infected with both bird flu viruses like H5N1 and human flu viruses. They're like walking virus incubators.
Walking virus incubators, so like little biological weapons factories?
It's not quite that dramatic, but you're getting the idea. When a pig gets infected with both bird and human flu viruses, these viruses can start swapping genetic material like some kind of microscopic orgy.
So they're like little virus swingers, swapping spit and creating some new hybrid virus.
You're getting the picture. Scientists call it reassortment. Basically, bits and pieces of genetic code from the bird flu virus can end up in a human flu virus, and vice versa. This can create a whole new Frankenvirus that has characteristics of both the original viruses.
And one of those characteristics could be the ability to spread easily between humans, right? Like taking the contagiousness of human flu and combining it with the deadliness of bird flu. Now we're talking about a real pandemic-level shitstorm.
That's the nightmare scenario, my friend. If a reassortment event happens and a new hybrid virus pops up that's both highly contagious and super deadly to humans, we could be in deep shit.
Okay, now I'm sweating. So what are the chances of this reassortment actually happening? Is this a real and present danger, or are we just being paranoid?
It's tough to say for sure. Viruses are constantly mutating. It's in their nature. Trying to predict exactly how they'll evolve is like trying to predict the lottery numbers.
So we're basically playing Russian roulette with a virus. Great.
Kind of. But that's why surveillance and monitoring are so damn important. By keeping a close eye on the virus and how it's spreading and evolving, we can at least try to stay one step ahead of the game.
Okay, so let's say this Frankenvirus does emerge from some pigsty in China and starts tearing through the population. What the hell can we do about it? Besides kiss our asses goodbye, of course.
Don't panic just yet. There are actually a few things we can do, and some of them are already in the works. First off, there's the whole vaccine thing.
Vaccines. Like the flu shot I get every year. That even work against this bird flu bastard?
It's complicated. The flea vaccines we have now are designed to protect against seasonal flu strains, which are different from H5N1. but scientists are working their asses off to develop vaccines specifically for H5N1.
So there's hope. A vaccine that could kick this bird flu's feathery ass.
There's definitely hope. They've already come up with some promising vaccine candidates. But vaccines take time to develop, test, manufacture, and distribute. It's not like we can just snap our fingers and have a cure.
So while we're waiting for the vaccine cavalry to arrive, what else can we do besides becoming hermits and never leaving the house again?
Well, there are some basic things that can make a big difference in stopping the spread of any respiratory virus, including this one. Things like washing your hands, covering your mouth when you cough or sneeze, and staying home when you're sick.
This is the same old shit our mom's been telling us since we were kids.
Yeah, but it works. And if we do get hit with a major outbreak, we might have to take more drastic measures like social distancing quarantine and travel restrictions.
Masks, lockdowns, the whole 9 yards. Like a pandemic greatest hits album.
Those measures might be necessary to slow the spread and give us time to get vaccines out there.
All right, so we've got vaccines in development, public health measures to slow the spread. Anything else we should know about fighting back against this potential apocalypse?
Don't forget about antivirals. They can be used to treat influenza infections.
Like Tamiflu. The stuff everyone freaks out about whenever flu season rolls around.
Exactly. Antivirals can be effective, but they work best when you take them early on. And overusing them can lead to drug resistance, which is a whole other can of worms.
So got to use those antivirals wisely, not just pop them like candy at the first sign of a sniffle. Got it. Anything else we should be thinking about?
Communication is key in a situation like this.
Communication. You mean like posting memes about bird flu on Twitter?
Not quite. I'm talking about clear and accurate information from public health officials and the media. We need to cut through the bullshit and fear-mongering and get the facts out there.
So no more mixed messages and political bullshit. That's a tall order, Doc.
I agree, but it's crucial. When people are scared and confused, misinformation spreads faster than the virus itself.
Right, so we need good communication, vaccines, public health measures, and antivirals. It's a lot to keep track of. Anything else you want to leave our listeners with before we move on?
Look, the situation with H5N1 is definitely serious, but it's not time to start shitting your pants just yet. We've learned a lot from past pandemics, and we're in a much better position to handle this than we were before.
That's good to hear. I think we've given our listeners plenty to think about for now. Before we wrap things up, any final words of wisdom?
Just this. Pandemics are a reminder that we're all in this together, whether we like it or not. What happens in one part of the world can affect us all. We need to work together, share information, and support each other if we're going to survive this shit.
Well said, Doc. We'll leave our listeners to chew on that for a bit. And remember, folks, wash your hands, don't go around cuddling strange cats, and stay informed. We'll be back in a minute with more on this bird flu deep dive.
Welcome back, you filthy animals. We've been digging deep into this bird flu shit, and it's getting pretty goddamn scary. We've talked about how this thing has spread like wildfire, jumping from birds to all sorts of mammals, and how those sneaky pigs could be cooking up some new pandemic-level virus. Yeah. We've also talked about how we can fight back against this thing with vaccines, public health measures, and good old-fashioned hygiene. But there's one more thing we need to discuss, something that's been bugging me since you mentioned it earlier, that whole mutation controversy thing. Those scientists who decided to play Dr. Frankenstein with the H5N1 virus,
Right.
What the hell were they thinking?
Yeah, that shit was wild. They actually made the virus transmissible through the air between ferrets. Ferrets. What do those furry little bastards have to do with bird flu?
Well, scientists often use ferrets in flu research because their respiratory systems are pretty similar to ours, so they're good models for studying how a virus might behave in humans.
Okay, I get that. But why the hell would they want to make the virus even more contagious? It just seems like they were asking for trouble.
Their argument was that they needed to understand how the virus could mutate to become airborne, so we could be better prepared for a potential pandemic. They thought that by figuring out exactly how the virus could change to spread through the air, we could monitor it more effectively and develop better vaccines and treatments.
I can see their point. But messing around with a deadly virus like that just seems incredibly risky. What if that shit had escaped from the lab? Or what if some terrorist group got their hands on that research and weaponized the virus?
Those are some legitimate concerns, and it caused a huge controversy in the scientific community. Some people argued that the risks of this research far outweighed the potential benefits, that it was just too dangerous to be messing around with. They were also worried that publishing the details of the mutations would be like handing a bioweapon blueprint to the bad guys.
So what happened? Did they end up publishing the research, or did they lock it away in some super secret government vault?
It was a tough call. In the end, the U.S. National Science Advisory Board for Biosecurity said, hold up, this is too risky. They recommended that the full details of mutations be redacted from the published research papers. They didn't want that information falling into the wrong hands.
So they basically hit the redact button on the most dangerous parts of the research, like censoring a bomb-making manual.
Pretty much. The redacted versions of the research still got published, so there's some information out there. But the really sensitive stuff, the exact genetic code changes that make the virus airborne, that's all classified.
So it's like knowing that you need flour, sugar, and eggs to bake a cake, but not knowing the exact amounts or the secret ingredient that makes it delicious.
You got it. This whole debate really highlights the ethical dilemmas we face when dealing with deadly pathogens. It's a tightrope walk between scientific progress and the potential for that knowledge to be used for, you know, some seriously fucked up purposes.
Yeah, it's a tough one. On the one hand, we need to understand these viruses to protect ourselves. But on the other hand, the last thing we need is some rogue scientist or terrorist group cooking up a super virus in their basement lab.
It's a balancing act for sure. And it underscores the importance of international cooperation, strong ethical guidelines, and some seriously tight security when it comes to this kind of research.
Well said, Doc. I think we've given our listeners plenty to chew on today. We've covered the history of this bird flu bastard, the potential for a global pandemic, and the ethical shitstorm surrounding that mutation research.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, that's for sure. Hopefully our listeners have a better grasp on this complex and ever-evolving threat.
Absolutely. So dear listeners, remember, knowledge is power. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and for fuck's sakes, wash your hands. We'll catch you on the next deep dive. Peace out.